Yesterday was my 40th birthday. Today is my 4-month unemployment birthday. Not the same vibe at all, but at least I've got my first interview today, which is a win, and I have another one scheduled for Monday. So things seems to be moving a little bit. And if you are also unemployed in 2026, I really feel you. It is not for the faint of heart. I feel it has taken already way longer to get just the first interview compared to previous unemployment. I think I'm now at like almost 55 applications, 43 rejections, and not even just rejection, like 50% of it is almost like ghosting, like there is no, not even an answer, so you're kind of like shooting in the void. And yeah, for today I share how I am approaching that, because it's not the first time that I've been unemployed, and I'm learning different techniques of handling it in a way that let me be safe. So I thought maybe that would be interesting for you as well, if you are in the same boat and you're also going out there every day applying, and being like hopeful that you can find something that really works for you. So yeah, as I was saying, it's not my first rodeo at being unemployed. I was unemployed already 3 times before. I was unemployed just between my master and my PhD. Um, this was probably the hardest time, because I was back at home, living with my parents in the middle of nowhere. There was zero possible social activity, or just walking around enjoying life a little bit was not possible. So I was just at home on my own. And it was also at a time where, when I was applying, it was just new for me. I was just coming out of school, so there was not really a lot of network that I had available. There was no real anybody who could really help me, and guide me in my career as well. So I remember I was just at home every single day looking for things, trying to apply. It got so bad that I started living by night. Like my entire rhythm got reversed. So because I was not doing a lot, I was just not getting tired, and therefore I was basically living through the night and waking up at like midday, and then just going to bed at 6 a.m. or something like this. So it was really really bad, in terms of like taking care of myself, and in terms of being able to process. So it took me 11 months to find an offer. I mean, it took a little bit less time to get the interview and stuff like this, but a total between the moment where I finished school and the moment where I started a new job, it was 11 months. So it was quite a long process of desperation in there, and just trying to fight for just having my first opportunity after school. And I had another experience a few years back, which was after a contract finished. So I had a 2 years contract in an organization, and then it was done, and they offered me to go to Singapore for another offer, but at the time I did not want to move there, so I just decided, okay, this is the end of it for this company. And it took me also there 7 months. I enjoyed it a little bit differently because I was quite burnt out in that company. So actually for me was like, yes, finally a break. So I was able to, take at least a month without doing anything, and then starting to look for work, which was I still had to do this quite quickly, because I did not receive any unemployment support at the time financially. So it was like my own money I was spending every month to to just keep things afloat. So I had to be careful to get something relatively quick. And I think this one I approached it a little bit differently. I was more like really choosing offers that I found interesting. So I was a bit less desperate, because I could work at my own rhythm. But still, it was a lot of like, doing meditation, taking care of myself, and really being able to handle that. And then last year actually, yeah, last year, no, end of 2024, I closed the coaching business that I had, and that meant I have to go from being an entrepreneur to go back to the real world of work. And that took also 8 months to get there, which was quite stressful, because at that time I was dependent from unemployment support. And you have to, every single week you have to apply to jobs. You have less freedom, because the government is expecting you to be actively applying to everything they send you, and even if it's not a job that you want, they are basically trying to push you to get back on the job market as fast as possible. They don't really think about what is your next best steps or things like this. They really just try to push you to get back out there. And I was able to get into a program. So I knew after 5 months that I was going to start something after 8 months. but I still was pushed in between this 5 month and 5 month where I got the offer and 8 month where I started to also keep applying for like jobs like working in supermarkets or being a barista and things like this, where I was also being rejected because I'm overly qualified for that. So it was like, okay, I have a job lined up, but now I'm still getting in the process of being rejected by offer that I don't want to take anyway. So it was a bit of a struggle, but I feel it was even more complicated because I was coming from entrepreneurs to going back to the normal work, and that transition is actually very hard, way harder than right now. And right now I'm looking for work after finishing this program, so it's a little bit like easier, let's call it like this, because at least I have work experience that now is directly linked to what I want to do next. So there is a bit more chances for me to get something, but I feel it's taking a long time. I think with AI and people being able to send so many more resumes and applications faster, and the HR using AI to filter as well. There is a lot of things ongoing where the current recruitment is a bit strange. So I have to be patient here, and I feel what I'm learning is really just that there are a few things that I need to do, which is habits, well-being, and mindset. So habits, I am very, very strict with how I lead my day. So I use the morning for deep focus and sending application, at least one application every morning, and then if possible preparing a bit for another one. But I really make sure that the morning is like delivery, and I do this 5 days a week only. I take the Saturday and the Thursday off in the morning as my kind of my own weekend, let's say, to keep a good rhythm. But I do this really actively during the week, and I spend the afternoon more on lighter tasks like doing LinkedIn or contacting people or searching for offers I can apply to the day after, or just doing a bit of research, or even just like learning something new. Like I did a training on AI recently for Google AI. This is what I do in the afternoon because this is a different thing that my brain has to do, and I know my brain is better in the morning for like pure execution and sending stuff and being very good at proofreading and sending the right things and writing and things like this, and the afternoon is like it needs to be lighter. So I'm trying to really keep that, not because I want to work less, but because I know this is how my brain works, and this is how I can really leverage it when it's working well, and this is when I can make better applications. So instead of just like in theory I'm supposed to work like 35 hours a week, like having a normal 9 to 5 jobs. I should be spending 9 to 5 to apply to stuff, and I'm kind of like working around this and finding a reason that is sustainable, because at the end of the day it's like a long-term process, so you need to just be able to continue and make it work for you. And I also, as a habit, I also do one thing a day I can control. I'm doing daily videos on YouTube, and I've been doing it for now 82 days, and this has been actually accompanying my job application journey. Not because I decided to do that initially for this reason, but it's actually being helpful because there is at least one thing a day where I can put something out there, and I know it serves a purpose, and I know it's something that is compounding for something that matters to me. I think this counteract the fact to be sending applications where you don't hear back. I think it just like balance it a little bit. And I also make sure, obviously, as a habit, to check every 3 months how it's going. Maybe I might do it every 2 months, but just having like, okay, like now it's month 4. So last month I did a review, and I'm like, okay, I need to really narrow down the type of offers I'm applying to. I need to really refocus my CV, because I can do so many things that sometimes it's hard if you're a generalist to put yourself in one box and really explain what you do. So I have to narrow it down and say, okay, for the next 3 months, I'm only going to do this. And that also helps, apply faster, or I keep having stuff that I can reuse for different applications, so I don't lose as much time, just building new applications from scratch. So yeah, it's just like trying not to change my approach every 2 days, or not trying to panic, and just say, okay, this is for the next 3 months, this is the approach, this is the focus, this is what I'm looking for as job offers, and giving my brain a clear direction. Hopefully that's going to help. So this is more for habits, so really working with my brain when my brain is better for certain tasks, having something that I can control, which keeps me engaged, and keeps creates some discipline as well that I can leverage for the job application, and making sure I review where it's going. I feel this is the basis. I'm also very, very careful about well-being, because, as I was mentioning, it can take a lot of time to get to the point where you have, that you can hear for interviews, hear yes for interviews, and then you have to deliver the interviews. So if for the whole process you get really discouraged, you get really drained, when you are going to step up and have an interview, you're just going to be absolutely failing it. So for me, it's like at the same time helping myself be disciplined with the application, but also be in a good shape. So the moment where I have to be convincing for a recruiter, I can be there in a good place and not completely like a I don't know what's it, like completely exhausted or completely depressed or completely desperate to get a job. So I do this by really focusing on my self-care. I feel I've never been so healthy that during unemployment phases. I think it makes sense because when you're unemployed, technically you have a bit more time for self-care, for like exercising, for taking time outside, for creativity. So anything that is actually for well-being, I'm able to organize my time a little bit differently, so I can do a little bit more of that, like meditation as well, and everything that can help me maximizing health. This is what I did not do the first time around when I was still living with my parents and I got my sleep cycle completely reverted. I was not taking care of myself at all. I was really just outside, inside in the house and just doing nothing all day and feeling very bad. And now it's like, okay, now I know that my health habits are good. I'm just going to leverage them. I can do a little bit even more if I want to. So I'm just going to use this time that right now is a bit more quiet to really take care of myself and be in a good shape. I also try, this is something a bit maybe that goes at the opposite, that I try to do enough, because I also notice that I can get very comfortable doing less. And, I could get very comfortable just working in the mornings and doing nothing for the rest of the day. And this, I think I could still be having the same rhythm in terms of job search, but I also think about, when I have to go back to normal job where it's 9 to 5, 5 days a week. If I'm too far gone, if I'm just like, oh, I'm only working specific days, half a day here and there, it's going to be very hard to go back into the rhythm. So I'm trying to also keep my rhythm in a way that is not completely out of sync with what a normal job will look like. And just having that, just having that available so that my brain doesn't get completely crushed when I go back to work, which has happened in the past and can create burnout. So I just want to make sure that I'm in a good place and I can, transition back without too much damage and without too much, and like in general, losing self-care in the process. And I also make sure to maintain social contact, which was also not happening in the first example I mentioned, but just to go outside, sit in a coffee shop to work so that there are people around, having a quick chit chat with my flatmate, like anything that helps maintaining social connection is also important in this type of moments, even if it's not like talking about your job search or whatever, but just having like human contact. I feel sometimes when you're unemployed, it can feel like you should not be doing that, or you're gonna have to answer questions about what are you doing right now and how is it going, and it's like, oh, I don't really want to answer these questions. I feel it's good to still maintain some good level of social connection. So that's one thing I do for well-being, and the rest is more like mindset related. So one thing I really keep myself accountable to is, as I was saying, like doing applications all the time. Like sometimes I struggle to find things I want to apply to, but I keep applying, because for me it's like creating luck surface. Like if I'm not applying, there is no way I can get something. So it's like you have sometimes to get through the no's before you can get through the yes. So if I keep applying to things regularly, then I'm going to get no's, but there is also a chance that I can get a yes somewhere. And that is really important for me. It's like, first of all, it can help, but also if I see myself being consistent with that and being disciplined, it also helps me feel confident, because I know that I've made myself promises that I was going to get a job, and I'm doing the things that can help with that, and I'm doing it consistently. So my brain is like, okay, that person is in charge. That person it's not working yet, but there is somebody driving the boat, and it's not like we are just like giving up. On that. So I think it helps, also counteract. Same thing with if you get a rejection, then I'm still in the process. So there are still things ongoing. So my brain is like absorbing the rejection differently than if there was nothing else going on, and then suddenly I get rejected and then I have nothing. So I think it helps with just being disciplined and keeping yourself accountable for that. For me, works really, really well. And I also practice detachment, because when you apply, like you're putting the numbers in, there are things that are not going to work, and I'm trying very carefully to not attach too much, not put too much pressure on specific offers. There's been a few where I felt really that this job was done for me. I think I did a video on that, of like I did not get my dream job. There was one particularly I was really stressed, and I was really waiting for the deadline, and I was like stressed for 2 weeks while the deadline was approaching for the selection, because they had really said this is the day where you are going to hear back. and I got so much stress out of it. And I feel it's really something that I'm trying to practice, is like detaching from that. Maybe I really enjoy that work and I would really love doing it, and it's out of my hand. What I can do is do the best application possible, spend a good amount of time making sure it matches what they are looking for. But then once it's out there, it's out of my hand. I can't control what they decide. I can't control whether or not they can see that I'm a good match for them. It's like just putting it out there and then wait for it, rather than having like so much expectations about it. I feel it's healthier for me. So I'm practicing some of them. It's a bit different because you really feel that they are meant for you, but who knows. um, I also keep myself accountable to, as much as possible, not apply to jobs where I would not want to go and do an interview, because sometimes with when you have the pressure to apply, or particularly because I say there is like a checks from the government, so I need to also keep applying to things. Sometimes it's easy to apply to every random thing that is vaguely related to what you want to do, but if you just end up having to do interviews for things that you don't want, it's like it's never going to work. And so for now, I'm still in the first 6 months, so I can do that. Maybe as time goes by, I might have to be a little bit less selective about it, but I feel it also helps with self-respect, and just keeping, yeah, a good self-esteem as well, that you are still being selective in what you apply to. So yeah, that's on my list as well of things to do. And then processing the rejection as well. This is something that I pay really attention to, um, because it happens, like some of the job I really don't care if I get a rejection. I'm like, okay, I go in my folder and I'm like, okay, this one rejected. But some of them, they hurt a little bit more because I had a bit more, thinking that at least I could get an interview, not necessarily get the job, but at least I could get an interview because I really fit in the profile. And I feel that this is something to do when there is rejection. I pause, particularly when I care. I take a breath and I'm like, okay, I cared about this one. I'm going to admit it, and I'm going to look at what actually I liked in this job, because I mean that there was something interesting that maybe I should be looking at for other jobs, and just use that as a fuel. Process the disappointment, process the fact that I had some vision about what could happen and it's not going to happen, and just grieve that a little bit, and then just try to go back on the horse in a different way. But not pretending it's not there, because there is a lot of rejection in this process, and you need to kind of like absorb it as well. And your brain, if it comes on a day where your brain is already like, what the hell am I doing, and it's taking so long, it can hit you harder. So having a good process for that, for me, is important. And I also pay attention on what my brain is doing with the rejection. If I hear my brain is doing, oh, it's because you're not good enough, or yes, of course, they rejected you because you're not senior enough, or like anything that actually make me feel that I'm diminishing myself or that I'm losing confidence, I'm paying attention to what my brain is doing, because I don't want this to become my identity. If one recruiter does not see from my profile that I match what they are looking for, um, first of all, it might be that actually I don't match the company and it's actually a gift, or it might be that I need to rework the CV or the application, but it's like something that I can correct or something that I can change. It's not about my identity as a person. I'm not less valued because that one company did not see the potential for me. This is not like it's this thing that I'm paying attention, are they going in my head or not, and then redirecting if it's there. And I'm also using previous knowledge, because I know in the past, as I was saying, I've been unemployed already. This is now my fourth rodeo at unemployment. Um, I know that I always get a job that is not too bad. That's my experience so far. I've always got interesting jobs, not perfect jobs, but I always got something where I could stay for a few years and I could see something that I could learn, or I could, evolve through that. So there is no reason why it should be different this time around. Actually, it should even be better, because with more and more career experience, I can filter things in a better way. So yeah, it's just looking at it like, it's the next step. Something good is going to happen. If I don't like the job, at some point I can always go and find something else. Like I can keep applying to things. So there is like kind of reframing that just one note to, okay, actually there is more coming. There is enough abundance, and there is enough, enough prospect, or and even if it's not perfect, I can still learn something. I feel this helps my brain looking at it as like more with a more relaxed approach. So yeah, these were my my advice for you, but also what I do that is helping me. So having some good habits and really working with the brain, and then making sure that self-care is there, because this is a long game, and you don't want to end up completely crushed when you go to interviews and completely crushed when you actually start the new job. And also having good mindset and really reframing things in a way that doesn't stick with you, as an individual, as your identity. Just making sure that you can, process whatever emotions is there. It's a long game, so it needs to be needs to be done with some good self-love and some good kindness as well. So yeah, wish me luck, because I have an interview in now 1 hour. And yeah, I wish you luck too if you're on the same journey. um, and if you're still looking for your next career step is coming, just hang in there, take good care of yourself, and yeah, just really work with your brain in a way that feels healthy for you. And yeah, if you don't know me, my name is Chloe, and I'm doing daily videos on YouTube. I was doing them until I turned 40, which was yesterday. So now the challenge is going to continue. But I'm here to help you build your best life, try to give yourself as much personal freedom as you can, and just figure out systems for you to do well and feel well and just enjoy your life. So if you want to follow that journey, you can subscribe to the channel down below, and I see you tomorrow for another video.